The council's decision was final. The cub named Rowan would never hunt. His eyes had been damaged before birth, clouded, unfocused, among the pack that marked him as unfit, a burden, someone meant to be protected, not trusted. The elders said it was mercy. The hunters knew better. In their world, worth was proven through the hunt, and Rowan would never be allowed to prove anything. Mara Hull heard about it in the lower work zones. She was human, and that already put her on thin ground. Humans were allowed here only because of an old agreement signed after a costly conflict. Mara worked as a technician, maintaining sensors, recalibrating tracking arrays, fixing systems the pack didn't care to understand. She kept her head down, did her job, didn't interfere. That was the rule. But rules have a way of bending when a cub keeps showing up every morning. Rowan started appearing near her station, sitting quietly, listening. He didn't touch anything, didn't speak at first, just listened as Mara muttered through system checks and explained problems out loud the way humans do when they're thinking. One morning, without looking up, she said, "You're not watching the screens." Rowan stiffened. His small claws flexed. "I know, so you can hear." "Yes." She paused, then asked, "Can you learn?" After a moment, he nodded. "Then you're not useless," she said flatly. "You just work differently." That made him freeze. From then on, he came every cycle. He asked questions, endless questions. How did humans navigate without sharp senses? Why did our systems rely on sound and vibration? How could information exist without sight? Mara answered all of it. Slowly, something clicked. The pack designed everything for perfect hunters. Visual targeting, optical displays, gear built for bodies and senses that never failed. Rowan couldn't use any of it. That's why they gave up on him. So Mara stopped thinking like them. She worked in secret, using parts the pack had discarded. Old vibration sensors, basic sound mapping tools, haptic systems labeled obsolete. To the pack, they were trash. To a human, they were options. The Helm took 5 months. It wasn't meant to fix Rowan. It was meant to translate the world. Sound reflected off objects and returned as spatial awareness. Vibrations in the ground became warnings. Heat turned into pressure along his arms and chest. The Helm didn't make him hunt like them. It let him hunt his own way. When she finally fitted it onto his head, Rowan stood very still. The system hummed softly. "How does it feel?" Mara asked. His eyes filled. "I can feel the room," he said. "All of it. You. The walls. Everything. You always sensed more than they knew," she said. "Now, they can't ignore it." Before we dive deeper into the story, let us know where you are watching from in the comments and subscribe, because I'll be sharing something special tomorrow. 3 weeks later, Rowan walked into the trial arena wearing the helm. The instructors reacted instantly. Shock, anger, disgust. A weak cub in hunting gear was an insult. One elder laughed. "Let him try," he said. "Let him fail in front of everyone." The drones activated. Rowan stepped forward. The first strike came fast. Rowan wasn't there. He felt it through the ground before it moved. He didn't fight strength with strength. He moved where the attack would be. His blows landed on joints, seams, weak points no visual hunter ever noticed. It wasn't traditional. It was effective. When the final drone shut down, the arena went silent. An elder demanded answers. Who created this? Rowan stood tall. Mara Holt, the human. Mara was summoned immediately. She expected punishment, maybe exile. Worse. Instead, the pack leader stepped down from her seat. Scarred, massive, calm. "You gave an unfit cub the ability to hunt," the leader said. "I gave him tools," Mara replied. "He did the rest." The leader studied her for a long moment. Then she lowered her head in acknowledgement. "Our failure," she said, "was believing strength had only one shape." She turned to the pack. Rowan was cast aside because we could not see past ourselves. Then she faced Mara again. "By our oldest law, you are kin. Protected. Bound to us." One by one, the hunters struck their chests. A vow. Rowan stepped forward and pressed his head to Mara's shoulder. The pack's gesture of family. "You saw me," he whispered. Mara swallowed. "You showed up. That mattered." Later, she watched him train with the others. Still different, but no longer alone. Humans weren't the strongest, or fastest, or most feared, but they were stubborn. They saw broken things and asked, what if they aren't broken at all? Mara returned to her workbench. She had more designs in mind. For injured hunters, aging scouts, those the pack once ignored. Sometimes strength isn't about standing alone. Sometimes it's about helping someone else stand. In the days that followed, the pack changed in small but important ways. Hunters who once ignored Rowan now watched him closely. Not with pity, with curiosity. They asked questions the way he once had. How did he feel movement before it happened? How did sound shape distance? Rowan answered patiently, explaining things even he was still learning. Some didn't like it. Tradition ran deep, and pride ran deeper. A few elders whispered that the human's influence was dangerous, that adapting too much would weaken the pack. Mara heard the rumors and said nothing. She'd learned long ago that real change didn't argue. It worked. Then an older hunter came to her workshop. He'd lost part of his hearing in a hunt years ago. Never spoken of it. Never asked for help. He stood awkwardly in the doorway and finally said, "The cub's helm, could it be adjusted?" Mara nodded and cleared space on her table. After that, more came. Quietly, carefully. Warriors with old injuries. Scouts who struggled in silence. None of them said the word broken. They didn't have to. Rowan trained harder than anyone. Not to prove himself, but because he finally could. When he joined a real hunt for the first time, he didn't lead. He listened, warned, redirected. The pack returned successful, untouched. That night, they made space for him at the fire. Mara watched from a distance, hands stained with grease and metal dust, heart steady. She hadn't changed who they were. She'd reminded them that survival had never been about perfection. It had always been about adaptation. And once that truth took hold, there was no going back. As seasons passed, the pack stopped calling Rowan the sick cub. They used his name. That mattered more than any title. On patrols, hunters began pairing with him by choice. His awareness filled the gaps theirs missed. Where eyes failed, he felt danger. Where noise lied, he read truth. Losses dropped. Success rose. No one argued with results. Mara was no longer just tolerated. She was consulted, trusted. When she walked through the camp, heads no longer turned away. One evening, Rowan asked her quietly, "Did you know this would happen?" She shook her head. "I just knew you deserved a chance." Rowan looked toward the fire, where the pack laughed together. "Then you changed everything." Mara didn't answer. She didn't need to.